Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Gay Pride Month, and if you couldn't tell by this Soviet level propaganda, Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots, they've got the giant gay pride flag. They're probably going to have to redo it in a year to add another color. I mean, do they have enough colors on this? This is why it's the whole thing with the LGBTQY, whatever they've added. And so this year it's interesting in terms of this dynamic with the Gay Pride Month, all of the logos, the changing, the virtue signaling. Everyone says the same thing every year when it comes to this month in 2024. I thought they had toned it back in 2024. That's when I kind of started noticing the shift because the woke stuff went crazy in 2020 with the BLM, the George Floyd. 2021, it was still bad. 2022, it was still bad. I thought it was started to change a little bit 2023, 2024. And now you can see in 2025, a lot of the Apples, the IBMs, the HPs, a lot of them not even changing their logo. But I want to talk about mainly the sports angle of this because this is something that I noticed a few years ago when it became bigger and mainstream to have the Gay Pride Month. And I mean, most people don't know this. Pretty much every MLB team outside of, I read, the Texas Rangers has a Gay Pride night. In essence, you go to an MLB game, let's just say you decide to go to one random game in June, and it's a Gay Pride day at the ballpark. And it's like, listen, everyone has their own opinion about this. Like, you know, we know that gay people exist, that's fine. But this forced ideology onto people in the form of acceptance is, it's just going to turn more people against it. And you would think with Trump winning, well, this would stop all this craziness. And you still do have a lot of these teams. I mean, what the teams will do is, and what the NFL did is, they'll change their logo to like a gay pride logo with all the rainbow colors. Which is just, especially for a sports team, what is the point? Like, who are you trying to, it's like, oh, it's for everyone. But it's just like, do you change? There's so many months to where people are celebrated, different people, veterans. Do they ever change their logos to fit the colors of different things outside of Gay Pride Month? It's just so strange that they're still so fixated on it. And we're seeing, based off of the culture, based off of what happened at the ballot box, a lot of these I mean, for example, Donald Trump banning federal buildings from having gay pride flags. I think we can all agree with that. It's just not necessary. I mean, we're already, it's like, you know, people being gay, but then they're like, they turn it into this thing to where it's this, oh, it's got to be everywhere. Well, I mean, we're already dealing with a birth rate problem in the United States. Do we really want to promote this lifestyle that would only make that worse? No, we don't. And so, you know, you are starting to see a little bit of a change in terms of it with less teams doing it, but it's just, especially when it comes to the sports. And I used to watch more sports when I was younger. I mean, I still know all the teams and stuff, and I'll see some of the scores sometimes, but I never understood that with, especially the NFL. I mean, are there any openly gay NFL players? And then they say, well, that's why we have to be more inclusive to these people. But it's just like, no, the sport is not I mean, it's like a combat sport. So why is there this placation to where it's this virtue signaling thing? And again, you see it throughout the United States to where we're not liberal like Europe. So this whole thing to where they do all of this big thing and they blow it up. Remember the thing with Target that happened like 2-3 years ago when it was crazy? The stuff that was sold at Target, like the trans bathing suits. It seems like a lot of that is going away relatively quickly because, again, Trump won. We're not this crazy liberal society like Europe is. But even in Europe, they're not like the stuff that we were doing here. So it's just interesting to see. And then I decided to tweet this out. Sports teams posting about Pride is the most forced dumb shit imaginable. Where's the profile pic change for Veterans Month? Trump winning shifted it a bit, but it's still there. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis of this. It's just like, whenever I see them change it's just like the most pathetic version. Like, why are sports teams doing this? Especially MLB teams too. It's the middle of the season. it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how many fans do you, I just, and they have to promote it. It's just very odd to me. We've also got this. And by the way, when it comes to that, again, it is shifting. We're seeing less and less of the major corporations do it. They say, well, it hurts our bottom line. Originally, the joke was back in 2021, 2022, a lot of these big corporations would have Middle Eastern variants in terms of the Twitter account. So they'd have like an American and then a Middle Eastern, and the Middle Eastern account would never change their profile picture to the rainbow logo. But now that the American ones aren't, because, you know, it's just the way the consumer base is shifting in the United States. We're just done with this shit. We're done with the performance stuff. And you've also got this: Tinder implementing a height filter for users. The change will allow women to filter out men below their preferred height. So it's like 6'1" and up. No, I mean, some girls, it's not like that. Then you got this dude simping. It's funny that all the comments are like, how about a weight filter too? Because men said, well, if you're going to do a height filter, we should be able to do a weight filter for women. And this dude says that's cope. I mean, this dude's just trying to white knight. Number one, when you're talking about, you're comparing two different things, height versus weight. Weight you can change. And you can change weight very simply. You stop eating food. Very, very simple fix. And you can't really change height. Although, you know how bad it's gotten now for guys? Guys will have the surgery, and this is not a mainstream thing. I think it costs like $100K or $200K to get taller. And it'll fuck their legs up for 2 or 3 years, even longer. Apparently, when you have those surgeries, you can't even run properly the rest of your life, and you've got this cage around your legs because it's like you're putting screws into your legs to try and... I did a video on it a while ago when I was doing like story time videos, but then they just like, oh, you're just coping because you're short. Yeah, I'm 5'10". Is that really that short? I mean, most girls are like 5'2", 5'3". That should be a decent height difference. So it's not like, oh, I'm coping because I'm not 6'1". No, these are fundamentally two different things. You can lose weight very easily. Especially nowadays, you can count all your calories. You could go to Chipotle and get a very healthy meal that tastes relatively good for like 600, 700 calories. You're a girl. I mean, you ate like once, twice. This is not hard. This is not a hard thing. But it's like, oh, you can't know their weight. But I mean, how can, if a dude's 5'4", 5'5", that's the guys who are doing the surgery, by the way. You're 5'4", 5'5". You know, women will filter it. Some girls will be like, well, we'll do 5'9", 5'10". Some girls will be like 6'1", and that's it. And I understand that the idea, if you're a woman, you do want the guy to be taller. It's a little bit of a weird relationship dynamic when he's shorter, because the man, it's more of a dominance thing. So I understand that. But still, if a girl's like 5'3" and she's like, I want 6 foot and up, come on. But I thought this was already on Tinder, but no, now they're adding it. So that'll only make it worse, I'm sure, in terms of the balance. I mean, it's already like 70% of the guys that use the dating apps, and now you're looking for 6 foot and up. Most guys will just lie and say they're 6 foot. Guys give themselves an inch. I mean, you are taller by an inch when you're in shoes, but I just thought that was funny. We've also got the Atlanta Fed. They just had an estimate about 3 or 4 days ago. Now they've got a new estimate. GDP plus 4.6%. When it comes to Trump and the economy, it's like a robot. It's just amazing metric, amazing metric, amazing metric, amazing metric, amazing. I mean, it's with Trump. You can't bet against Trump and the economy. Now, we'll see what happens with inflation, but I mean, we look at the Trueflation, it updates every day. It hasn't gone up that much. I mean, we're talking about a 4.6% growth after a contraction by just 0.3. It's been revised 0.2% retraction. Remember, they were screaming about a recession. They screamed about a recession, and we had a 0.2% contraction. And the next quarter, it's plus 4.5%. Now, the Atlanta Fed, they do this where they update it every who knows if it ends up being plus 4.5% GDP growth. But listen, this is when you're dealing with Trump and the economy. It's just he's just going to turn out, and we can already see the writing on the wall here. Now, look, you can't predict geopolitical events, things like that, but we got the news now that Trump is going to allow uranium enrichment, just like we said would happen with Iran. Yes, there's going to be a compromise. Trump understands he cannot afford a Middle Eastern conflict in which the United States is involved with, started under his presidency. That's the antithesis of MAGA. And so he realizes it, and you look at that, and so that's another big thing. But, you know, with Trump, he just turns out these these great numbers in terms of we see the writing, we see the Fed rates. He meets with Powell. The Fed cuts are coming. The trade deals are coming. The GDP growth is here. Consumer sentiment is up. Real wages are up. Unemployment is down for U.S. citizens. And so this is really what we're talking about when it comes to this economy. But guys, overall, I just wanted to talk about just the performance stuff. You know, they do this tracker now. 12 teams did not post Pride Month messages. I mean, it's kind of a weird metric to track. Last year, 9 teams did not post, so I guess they track it every year. So it was 9 teams last year, now it's 12 teams. I saw the Yankees put out a statement. They had the Yankee logo with all the gay pride colors and stuff. It's, especially for a sports team mid-season, like, how does that even align? And I mean, you want to talk about the NBA. Remember the NBA in 2020? With the BLM stuff, that was insane. That was next level. On the back of their jerseys, they had a slogan that was anti-racist, and then they had their last name. Because you know how sports they have the last name and then the number. They also had a slogan. I remember that. That was during the bubble. I mean, that's next level. But you can see it's starting to taper off a little bit, but it's still kind of there. It's still with the but again, it's like, why is there this fixation with these sports teams doing this? You would think sports, they would be like, no, we're a sports team. We are not going to placate to this, in which can be perceived, and it is, and it's a virtue signaling political message. And so, but they still, especially the MLB teams, which it's during their season, right in the middle of their season, and they changed their logo for a month during the season. Like, really? Especially after Trump won. But, you know, a lot of these companies are not doing it anymore now. I thought they had stopped doing it in 2024, because I remember vividly the right wing was picking up on it. They were like, oh, they're not changing it now. But I guess they did change it. Or maybe this is just wrong, and you know, it's because a lot of this stuff is like, these memes are like, some of them aren't accurate. Because I remember that a lot of them didn't change their logo in 2024. But it is an interesting thing. People say, well, it's not a big deal. It's interesting to see how they have to kind of shift, these major corporations have to kind of shift their, you know, virtue signaling based off of the population's general opinion. And that's what we're seeing. People are done with this shit. And so you're starting to see it dissipate in terms of on the social media accounts. But either way, guys, make sure you like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.